Cheating or cheaters in online FPS games is a huge problem nowadays, and an all-massive battle free-to-play FPS game such as Planetside 2 is no exception. Recently, Daybreak Games addressed the cheater problem in Planetside 2 in their latest development update, and here's what they wrote. We are very aware of how much of an issue cheating has become. At the beginning of the year, we specifically dedicated developers to look closely at the issue and work on solutions. There is no one place or technique that hackers use, so we must tackle different problems independently and roll out solutions when we think the time is right. Unlike other features and changes, we will not be detailing exactly when and how cheating will be addressed. We hope everyone understands why that is not possible. It is unfortunately a Red Queen's race that is never finished and must be constantly worked on quietly so as not to reveal workarounds ahead of time. We can already see that our efforts should bear fruit over time, and we hope that you will notice much less cheating and at greater distant intervals. Okay, this is interesting since I haven't read anything like this from the devs before, even though I've only, you might say, played the game for 3 years, about 3 years. Does this mean that we will be able to see these improvements coming soon? I really hope so when it comes to less cheaters in Planetside 2. Will the developers be able to stop the cheaters, meaning closing one loophole just to see another one being created by the cheaters? Because that's usually the case, being a bit like in forefront of things when it comes to inventing new sheets and scripts and stuff like that. And I haven't, of course, found any additional info yet when it comes to how they will do this, like technically from the developer side of things, something that would tell us what kind of possible improvements they might roll out, if it has to do with how to detect the cheaters or even ban the cheaters from the game. And I can understand that that has to be done in silence, so to say. I can see from community posts and forums that the cheater problem has also increased over the last couple of years in Planetside 2. And I would love to hear from you guys as well when it comes to your experiences. So the question is, but how bad is it then really, and what kind of cheats are we talking about in the game? I have experienced cheaters as well in Planetside 2. I can't say though that it has been very, very often throughout the 3 years that I have been playing the game. But usually when it happens, they're quite easy to spot, especially if they are blatant cheaters. And I'm talking about the ones that might be flying around on the map and everything and shooting you maybe through walls or shooting you from a far, far distance using a gun that wouldn't be possible to do that in normal cases. There's been reports of, for example, an infiltrator flying through the air, sniping down countless players through solid walls, even flying mosquitoes beneath the map or killing players from below. That has happened to me at least 2 or 3 times, I believe. Or placing Spitfire auto turrets inside walls and rocks, shooting out of it so that you can't destroy them. But I guess it comes back to the loopholes I was mentioning, that the cheaters or the companies providing also with cheats are always finding another way to implement them in the game. But it can be hard to detect certain cheats, especially if they aren't this blatant as described earlier here. And I'm thinking about, for example, those that are using script that might give them some form of aim assist in the game or straight up aimbot. That can also happen, and as said, it can be hard to detect because some people are also good at the game. And it also means that it might be hard to detect because you are playing against a lot of players. But it's there, and as said, those kind of script might help you, of course, with aim, which is not allowed, apparently and obviously. And there's probably, maybe as mentioned, just a few of them being up there running them at a time per server. Well, the server can hold a lot of players, so as said, you might not even run into them. Usually you will know if you meet one of those guys though, because they won't just gun you down with good accuracy or really good accuracy, but they also do it at a long range where the most people would miss their shots, at least a few percentage of them. If you are playing Planetside 2, you are aware of the bloom when it comes to the guns and when you're shooting, so you would miss your shots due either to the bloom effect or player error. So are these cheats, if we're talking about the more subtle cheats, are they enough to actually totally break down the game, ruin the game overall? Well, in my opinion, since I've played the game now for 3 years, and as said earlier, I haven't encountered that many cheaters, but it's definitely there and it has to be dealt with. So I still believe that most players that you see also on the top of the leaderboards are natural. It's also hard to spot those cheaters when they're doing certain things that has to do with their username. There's an example of one flying infiltrator cheater that had a username with a number, like a number 1 in his name. And then, like, more or less every day, he created a new account, increasing that number by 1. So at a certain point, he had reached, like, let's say 22, from 1 up to 22 in his username. And apparently still he didn't receive a hardware ID ban, at least not at the moment when this was actually happening, according to the guy that reported this issue. When these kind of things comes up, the question arises, of course, why doesn't Daybreak Games hardware ID ban cheaters? I'm talking, for example, about the Battle Eye. Is it absolutely useless when it comes to anti-cheat? And why do they even allow cheaters to create a new account with literally the same name again and still need another like 24 hours to ban them again? It becomes like a circle, rinse and repeat, you might say. And of course, there's definitely room for improvements here, and that might be exactly what they are working on at the moment, according to the text stated earlier. On the other hand, there is also, of course, a problem that is here, and that has to do with the fact that it's incredibly hard to truly ban someone from an internet game, and we're talking from a more kind of technical aspect regarding hardware ban and IP ban, if there's VPN account ban, and there's new accounts coming up. And yeah, I can understand that it's a difficult task for sure, but I really hope that we will see this improvement as they were talking about. There has been a suggestion when it comes to these new accounts popping up, being used in the wrong way, so to say, that you might temp ban these new accounts if we're talking about low H or low BR with unreasonable stats being shown, and push those temp bans into the customer support queue, where accounts then can be flagged as legitimate or be permanently banned after a human review. So, what is your thought and take on this when it comes to cheaters in Planetside 2? Is it or has it become a huge problem, and what to do about it? And also, do you think that the developers, meaning Daybreak Games, are able to turn the tide around and make Planetside 2 an even better experience when it comes to playing it natural and be a good place for everyone to play on equal terms? Let me know in the comments. As said, this is something that we have seen in many games over the last years, you might say, when it comes to an increase of cheaters and hackers, and it's very unfortunate. With that said, thanks a lot for watching. If you're interested to follow me here on my FPS channel, where I cover both new and old games and everything in between, then feel free to subscribe, and I talk to you soon again in an upcoming video. Game on, and later.